In grammar today, we're going to talk about comparative forms of adjectives. A comparative adjective compares two person, places, or things. Shorter comparative adjectives typically end in ER. To form the superlative form of two-syllable adjectives, we use the word more in front of the adjective. So, example. A rabbit is slower than a hamster. To decide if the comparative adjective is used correctly, I need to ask this thinking question. Are there two persons, places, or things being compared, and does the adjective end in ER, or does it use more? Well, yes, it's comparing two things. A rabbit is slower than a hamster, so we're comparing a rabbit and a hamster. And our adjective slower ends in an ER. All right, so we have a comparative adjective. So what we're going to do here is just go over these examples, and then you're going to have a page very similar to this in your reader's notebook to practice it further. So for the form the comparative of each adjective in parentheses, and then write the comparative adjective on the line provided. Well, this is a projectable and we can't do that, but we're going to discuss it. AJ's house is than my house. All right. Are we comparing two things? Right. We are comparing AJ's house and your house. So we are comparing two things, and would we add ER or would we add more in front of this one? Right, noisier. AJ's house is noisier than my house. The volume on the TV is what than on the radio? Are we comparing two things? Or persons or places? Yes, we're comparing the volume on the TV to the volume on the radio. So we need to add ER. The volume on the TV is louder than on the radio. Okay, I'd like you to go through a couple more of these, make sure you have it, and then I will show the slide that has the answer. So pause the video and then come back when you've done a few more examples, and then you can check your work. How'd you do? These were all comparative adjectives where we just needed to add ER to the end. So that was simple. Now it's your turn. All right, this is very similar to what I just went over with you. This is page 283 in your reader's notebook. This box up top tells you what a comparative adjective is. It tells you how to form them and what you need to do. If the adjective ends in Y, change the Y to I before you add the ER. Has the thinking question, and here it also has examples of the adjective and then how you change it to compare. So for 1 through 4, you're going to write the comparative form of the adjective in each sentence. So number 1, I think that spring feels what than winter. We know we're comparing two things, so we add ER. So it is warmer is what would go on the line. Down here, 5 through 8, you're going to write the comparative form of each adjective. And it says that some are formed by adding the word more. Usually longer adjectives form the comparative in this way. So Joe is more polite than Henry. So number 5, Sally felt miserable when she knew she had the flu. So here we're adding more before. So she felt more miserable when she knew she had the flu. You're going to do the rest of these, adding more before the adjective. Make sure to have your learning adult check your work. Once you finish this, we're going to go on and talk about superlative form of adjectives. So this is the next thing we're going to talk about. We're just going to do both of them all on the same day. Superlative forms of adjectives. A superlative adjective compares more than two things, places, or people. Many superlative adjectives end in est. For this, our thinking question is, are there more than two people, persons, or things being compared? And does the adjective end in est or use most? So here is our example. Our adjective here is slow. A turtle is slow, okay? But if it's slowest of all, meaning more than two turtles, okay, then it is slowest of them all. So we're going to just do a few of these examples. Again, this is projectable, so we're just going to talk about it. Humphrey the hamster is the what pet in the house? We're going to form the superlative. So here we have a word that ends in Y. So when our word ends in Y, we need to drop the Y and add an I before we can add our ending est. So he is the furriest pet in the house. Number 2, a whale is the animal I saw on TV today. What would the superlative form of big be? Right, biggest. And here we have a vowel consonant, and so we double this consonant before we add the est. There's lots of little rules like that before you can add your suffixes. Do a few more of these examples, pause the video, and then you can check if you got them right. How did you do? Did you do the right spelling? Here, messiest, you add an I before you do the est. And here, young, you just add it. Sad has the vowel consonant, so you needed to double that. And in nice, you drop the E and add est. Now it's your turn. All the information, like on the projectable, is up here with examples of the adjective, the comparative, and the superlative. You are going to write the correct form of the adjective in parentheses to complete the sentence. So remember, your thinking question is, are there more than two persons, places, or things being compared, and does the adjective end in est, or does it use most? I'm going to let you do all of these by yourself, remembering that when you're doing superlative, when you're comparing more than two things, then you need to use that est. Not all of these are they comparing more than two things, so be careful. Make sure that you're being careful. There are 3 superlative, two comparatives. One in which they just add er, and one where they use most in front of it. So make sure to have your learning adult check your work. And then yay, you're done with grammar for the day.